Chosen one, on August 12th, what God has prepared for you cannot be told to everyone, and the blessing must be protected with wisdom. You may have felt the weight of something sacred forming quietly around you, while your hands remained empty and your questions remained unanswered. Your sleep has been interrupted by thoughts you cannot fully explain, and your chest tightens whenever you realize that not every detail can be shared. There is a difference between hiding in fear and guarding what is still becoming clear. Some blessings are not announced because they are not yet ready to be carried in public. Some doors require silence before they require movement. And some seasons become confusing because you are trying to explain what God is teaching you to steward. If you have sensed a change without knowing how to name the season, the call of the chosen. A 30-day journey can help you reflect on what this period may be forming, distinguish fear from direction, and understand the next faithful step. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. You do not need to force an announcement to prove that something meaningful is happening. You need the courage to remain attentive while wisdom teaches you what belongs in prayer and what belongs in conversation. The body often recognizes the need for protection before the mind can explain it. You may pick up your phone, begin typing a message, and then place it face down because something inside you says, "Not yet." You may sit at the edge of your bed before sunrise, feeling both expectation and restraint, as though your soul is standing near a threshold while your feet remain in the familiar room. At work, someone may ask what has been happening, and you may discover that ordinary words cannot carry the full weight of what you have been sensing. Your shoulders rise, your breathing becomes shallow, your hands grow restless. None of this automatically proves that a supernatural event is scheduled for August 12th, and it does not mean every private feeling is a divine instruction. But it may reveal that your attention is being invited into a more careful posture. You are learning that not everything precious should be placed in every hand. Silence can become a form of stewardship when it is attention. You need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. Guided by peace rather than panic. What God has prepared cannot be told in the careless way people often demand explanations. This does not mean you must become secretive, suspicious, or isolated. It means you can stop treating access to your inner life as a debt you owe to every curious voice. The promise of this message is not that a guaranteed reward will appear on a particular date. The promise is that you can recognize the difference between a blessing that needs protection, a desire that needs surrender, a plan that needs preparation, and a fear that needs truth. You can learn to pause before speaking, pray before reacting, and observe fruit before trusting appearances. You can also notice whether a conversation leaves you clearer or more scattered, more peaceful or more pressured. The chosen life is not proven by dramatic attention. It is revealed through faithful care in ordinary decisions. When you understand that, the date becomes a marker for reflection, not a demand for prediction. August 12th can remind you to guard your spirit, examine your motives, and let maturity carry what excitement cannot. Imagine the moment when you nearly reveal everything because the waiting has become exhausting. You are standing in the kitchen with one hand around a warm cup, looking at a message from someone who has not really listened to you before. They ask whether the opportunity is real, whether the relationship is changing, whether the door is finally opening, whether you have received an answer. For a moment you want to send every detail. You want the relief of being understood. Then you remember the times your vulnerable words were repeated, simplified, or used against you. You remember how quickly people can turn a developing blessing into a public debate. So you breathe, close the message, and allow the moment to pass without betraying what is still tender. That pause is not weakness. It is evidence that you are beginning to value formation more than applause. A blessing can be damaged by haste, not because people possess the power to cancel what God may be doing, but because careless exposure can distort your judgment and disturb your obedience. There is a season when waiting feels like punishment because you cannot tell whether you are being prepared, redirected, or simply asked to release an expectation. You wake up carrying the same question. You pray, but the answer does not arrive in the form you wanted. You see others receiving visible opportunities, and their progress seems to accuse your quietness. Yet the hidden work inside you may be more important than the public evidence around you. The call of the chosen, a 30-day journey, is for the person who is tired of waiting without understanding what the waiting means. It offers a way to reflect on whether you are waiting, being prepared, closing a cycle, rebuilding, or beginning again, so your prayers can become more honest and your decisions less reactive. Many readers who arrived feeling confused or tired of waiting said the material helped them understand their season more clearly, organize their prayers, or stop interpreting every silence as abandonment. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. Then return to this moment with less pressure to predict and more willingness to discern what your next faithful response requires. The first opposition you face is often not a person. It is the pressure to make every quiet development visible before it has gained strength. Distraction tells you to explain yourself immediately. Comparison tells you that if others do not know your plans, your progress must not be real. False urgency tells you that a door will close unless you rush through it without asking whether it is the right door. Fear whispers, if you do not announce it, you may lose it. But truth asks a better question. What would wisdom protect right now? You are not required to answer every question while your own understanding is still growing. You are not required to defend a process that God may be using to rebuild your character. Some people will only believe in what they can measure, and that limitation does not have to become your assignment. Protecting the blessing means protecting your attention from voices that turn every sacred possibility into entertainment, competition, or pressure. Joseph knew something about carrying a revelation before circumstances agreed with it. His dreams did not make him superior to his brothers, and they did not exempt him from betrayal, displacement, or years of uncertainty. The dream became meaningful through the character formed while he could not control the outcome. In your ordinary life, this may look less dramatic but no less demanding. It may mean serving faithfully at a job while preparing for a different responsibility. It may mean refusing to expose a new relationship to opinions before trust has been built. It may mean learning a skill quietly, repairing your finances patiently, or changing the way you speak to yourself when old disappointment returns. Joseph's story does not prove that every private desire will come true. It shows that a person can carry meaning through a season without turning every stage into a public announcement. What you protect today may be your clarity, your integrity, your ability to recognize the right moment, and your willingness to obey without needing immediate applause. When you ignore the need for wise protection, the cost is often a repeated cycle. You reveal too much, receive too many opinions, become confused, withdraw in frustration, and later wonder why your peace has disappeared. You tell yourself that people misunderstood you, but sometimes you gave unfinished material to people who were never assigned to help complete it. You make a decision from the noise, then spend weeks trying to recover the stillness that would have helped you choose well. This is not a sentence of condemnation. It is an invitation to notice the pattern without blaming yourself for being human. The blessing may not be lost, but your capacity to carry it can become strained when you are constantly seeking external confirmation. The next time you feel the impulse to explain everything, ask whether the conversation will produce wisdom, practical help, or merely temporary relief. The answer may show you what protection looks like in that moment. Silence is not always the answer, but careless speech is rarely the only path to freedom. This is why August 12th matters as a spiritual marker. Chosen ones, what God has prepared cannot be told to everyone, so protect the blessing by protecting the process, the prayer, and the peace that surround it. If this message is touching a place where you have felt exposed, delayed, or pressured to prove what you cannot yet explain, type 888 in the comments as a simple confirmation that you will move with wisdom, and then return your attention to the message. The number is not a mystical formula, and your words do not control heaven. They simply give you a moment to acknowledge the posture you are choosing. You are allowed to wait before answering. You are allowed to change the audience for your private thoughts. You are allowed to let consistent fruit speak more loudly than an emotional announcement. What is prepared in hiddenness often requires a protected heart before it can be carried responsibly in the open. The deeper conflict is not only about what other people may do with your words, it is also about the part of you that wants immediate relief from uncertainty. You may think, if I tell someone, I will finally feel secure. You may believe that an outside reaction will settle an inside question, but attention can soothe you for an hour and leave you more dependent the next morning. The root pattern is the search for permission to trust what you have not yet learned how to steward. You are not wrong for wanting reassurance. You are learning that reassurance and discernment are not the same thing. Reassurance asks someone else to make the tension disappear. Discernment teaches you how to remain honest while the tension reveals what needs examination. When you can sit with an unanswered question without turning it into a public emergency, you become less vulnerable to pressure. You begin to hear the difference between a genuine invitation and the anxious demand to act before you are ready. Recognition alone is not enough when you still do not know what to do with what you have recognized. You may understand that this is a season of protection, yet still feel tempted to over-explain, overreact, or close yourself off from everyone. The call of the chosen. A 30-day journey can serve as a practical companion for guided reflection, prayer, discernment, daily decisions, and identifying the next faithful step without panic-driven reactions. It is meant to help you work with the message in your real life, rather than admire it for a moment and forget it tomorrow. You can use its perspective to ask better questions about what you are protecting, what you are postponing, and what you may need to release. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. Then bring that clarity back into your day, where a quiet decision may matter more than a dramatic feeling. You do not need to perform readiness. You need to practice faithfulness in the place where you already stand. Your mind may build a logical case for speaking, while your body reacts with tension because the timing feels wrong. Your spirit may recognize a need for patience, while your emotions protest that patience resembles rejection. These parts of your experience should not be confused with one another. Reason can evaluate facts, history, consequences, and practical details. The body can reveal stress, fatigue, excitement, or the residue of previous disappointment. Spiritual recognition may appear as a steady conviction that does not need to shout, manipulate, or flatter you. None of these signals should be treated as infallible by itself. Together, they can become material for prayerful honesty. Ask what is known, what is assumed, what is feared, and what remains unconfirmed. Notice whether your desire to speak comes from love and responsibility or from the need to escape discomfort. When the mind, body, and spirit are given room to be heard without being worshipped, you can respond with greater balance. Protection becomes thoughtful instead of fearful. Wisdom does not require you to distrust every relationship. It asks you to recognize the different levels of access that healthy relationships carry. There may be someone who can pray with you, someone who can offer practical counsel, someone who can celebrate only after a decision is settled, and someone who should not receive the information at all. Discernment is not suspicion when it is based on patterns, boundaries, and responsibility. You can love a person without giving them every detail. You can forgive someone without returning them to a position of influence. You can remain open to wise counsel without allowing a crowd to direct your conscience. Look at the environments that surround you. Do they reward honesty, patience, and growth? Or do they reward exposure, reaction, and constant explanation? The people near you may not be able to create the blessing, but they can influence the condition in which you carry it. Choose conversations that leave you more grounded, not more addicted to approval. Opposition often works through lesser urgencies. It does not always arrive as an obvious crisis. Sometimes it sends 10 small demands into your day until the one important thing receives no attention. A notification pulls you away from prayer. A comparison changes your mood. A minor disagreement occupies your thoughts for hours. Fatigue makes every decision seem impossible, and then you reveal what you intended to protect simply because you no longer have the strength to hold it carefully. The strategy is subtle. Keep you busy enough to lose your inner witness, but not busy enough to notice why you feel empty. This is why protection may include sleep, quiet, honest scheduling, and fewer unnecessary conversations. You cannot guard a blessing while treating your attention as an unlimited resource. You cannot recognize a gentle direction if every moment is filled with competing voices. The practical choices that seem ordinary may be the very choices that restore your ability to hear clearly. At some point, you must stop negotiating with the truth that has become clear. Not every detail is clear, and you do not need to pretend that it is. But perhaps you already know that certain people should not be told yet. Perhaps you know that a certain habit keeps making you impulsive. Perhaps you know that the opportunity requires preparation before announcement, or that the relationship needs time before public definition. The turning point comes when you stop demanding perfect certainty before practicing obvious wisdom. August 12th is not a guarantee that a hidden event will become visible. It can be the day you recognize that protection is part of preparation. You stop asking, "How can I make everyone understand?" and begin asking, "How can I remain faithful to what I have been entrusted to carry?" That question changes the atmosphere inside you. The blessing is no longer merely something you hope to receive. It becomes something you must handle with humility, patience, and clean motives. Picture a sealed letter resting in a drawer that only you can open. The letter has been written, but the time to deliver it has not arrived. You know it contains meaning, yet you also know that exposing it too soon could place it in hands that would read it without reverence. The drawer is not a prison. It is a place of protection. In the same way, your hidden season may be holding something that is still being prepared within you. The quiet does not prove that nothing is happening. It may be giving the message, the decision, or the new responsibility time to become clear enough for you to carry. You are learning to live near the letter without opening it every hour in panic. You are learning to keep the drawer closed without pretending that the letter does not exist. This is the beginning of mature faith, honoring what you sense without turning it into a performance. What God may be forming in you deserves patience before interpretation. Inside that sealed letter, the words are not being wasted. They are gaining context through every ordinary day you survive with integrity. The difficult conversation you did not force becomes part of your understanding. The money you chose not to spend impulsively becomes part of your preparation. The morning when you prayed despite feeling nothing becomes part of your endurance. The apology you offered without demanding an immediate response becomes part of your character. Hidden development is still development. The letter remains out of sight, but its meaning is being shaped by the life you are living around it. You may not see how the pieces connect, yet each faithful action can teach your hands how to hold what is coming. This is why you should not despise the quiet days. They are not empty pages. They are adding depth to the message. When the time comes to open what has been preserved, you may discover that the greatest preparation was not learning how to receive the blessing, but becoming someone who would not misuse it. The sealed letter also explains why certain forces have tried to make you impatient. Noise wants you to tear open what patience is preserving. Comparison tells you that everyone else is reading their letters aloud, while yours remains hidden. Fear suggests that if you do not expose your plans, someone else will take your place. Pride wants you to prove that you knew something before anyone else did. Old disappointment tells you to stop expecting anything good because secrecy feels too much like another delay. Yet a closed drawer can protect more than paper. It can protect timing, trust, relationships, and your own ability to distinguish truth from excitement. You do not have to call every interruption an attack, and you do not have to believe every obstacle carries a spiritual message. Some resistance is simply the consequence of living in a complicated world, but you can still notice which pressures make you less honest, less peaceful, and less responsible. The letter remains safe when you refuse to let urgency become your author. Then one day, movement begins. The drawer opens, not because you forced it, but because the moment has become honest enough for action. You read the first line, and suddenly the waiting is not erased, but it is interpreted differently. The months of silence did not answer every question, yet they prepared you to read without distortion. You notice that what once felt like deprivation also created space. What felt like exclusion protected you from making a public promise before you had private conviction. What felt like delay gave you time to repair the motives that would have made success dangerous. The letter moves from hiddenness toward delivery, but the movement is measured. You do not wave it above your head for every passerby. You place it before the person who needs to receive it, or you keep it as a private instruction for the next season. The blessing becomes visible through faithful use, not through the volume of your announcement. Its purpose is fulfilled as you carry it with the same humility that protected it. You can now recognize why the quiet preparation mattered. The sealed letter was never the whole story. It revealed the condition of your heart. You learned that something can be real without being public, important without being dramatic, and prepared without being immediately available. If you understand this, type "I am ready" in the comments, and then return to the message without turning the phrase into a performance. Readiness does not mean you know every detail or feel no fear. It means you are willing to receive instruction before demanding evidence, to protect what is entrusted to you, and to move when wisdom makes the next step clear. The letter can leave the drawer without becoming a spectacle. In the same way, what God may be preparing in you can enter a new stage without being offered to every opinion. The question is no longer whether everyone will understand. The question is whether you will remain faithful to what you have learned. Now return to the title with a steadier heart. Chosen one, what God has prepared cannot be told to everyone, but protecting the blessing does not mean carrying it alone in an unhealthy way. It means refusing the two extremes that have exhausted you, telling everyone everything or telling no one anything. You can seek wise counsel, you can ask for prayer, you can share the facts that a trusted person needs in order to help you. At the same time, you can preserve the private center of the process, the place where your motives are examined and your direction becomes clear. You do not need to make people curious in order to make the season meaningful. You do not need to create mystery around ordinary responsibilities. You simply need to practice restraint where your old pattern demanded exposure. Faith is not measured by how mysterious you appear. It is measured by whether your choices are becoming more truthful, peaceful, and responsible. One practical response begins in a real scene, not in an emotional promise. Before you answer the message, make the announcement, accept the invitation, or confront the person. Place both feet on the floor and take one slow breath. Write down what you know without interpretation. Then write down what you fear, what you hope, and what you are assuming. Give each category its proper name. Facts do not need the same response as fears. Hopes do not need to be treated as instructions. Assumptions should not be allowed to wear the authority of truth. After you have written, ask what decision would still be wise if no one praised you for making it. That question removes the audience from the center. You may discover that the next step is a conversation, a boundary, a period of preparation, or a deliberate pause. The practice is simple, but it interrupts impulsive disclosure and gives your conscience room to speak clearly. A second practice is to establish a private sentence that guides your speech. It might be, "I am still discerning this, and I will share more when I have clarity." You do not need to invent a complicated explanation whenever someone presses for details. A calm boundary can protect your peace without insulting another person. If the question comes from someone trustworthy, you can explain what kind of support you need. If it comes from curiosity without care, you can remain gracious and brief. Notice what happens in your body when you use honest restraint. At first, guilt may appear because you are accustomed to earning belonging through access. Let that feeling pass without letting it make the decision. A boundary is not punishment. It is a way of keeping responsibility connected to readiness. Over time, your words may become fewer, but their weight will increase because they will come from conviction rather than the need to manage everyone's perception. Protection also comes through limits that feel disappointing at first. A closed door may keep you from announcing a plan that needed more preparation. A changed rhythm may reduce contact with people who made every private matter public. A pause may reveal that the opportunity was attractive, mainly because it offered escape from your current discomfort. Mercy does not always feel like immediate expansion. Sometimes mercy gives you time to become honest before your circumstances become larger. You may have prayed for access, while God may be teaching you stewardship. You may have asked for visibility, while wisdom may be building substance where no one can applaud. Do not call every closed door rejection, and do not call every open door confirmation. Consider the fruit. Does this path make you more truthful, more capable of love, more attentive to responsibility, and less controlled by fear? A blessing that requires you to abandon your integrity is not being protected. Your integrity is being tested. There is one clear decision you can make in this season. Stop giving unfinished things the authority of finished things. An idea can be honor. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.